Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me here this fine Saturday morning. And if you got an opportunity, if you're able, if you want to follow along, we'll be back in the 18th chapter of Acts. We'll be looking at verses 20 and 21. And if you will, like, share, comment on the post, and then jump in here with me. And there's a good principle here, good reminder for us in these two verses. Paul is in Ephesus, and the people come to him and ask him to stay. Verse 20 says, when they asked him to stay for a longer period, he declined, but on taking leave of them, he said, I will return to you if God's will, and he set sail from Ephesus. Several things going on here. Let me kind of lay a little bit of what's going on. Paul is going to head back. It was important for him to go, if he's wanting to get back to Jerusalem in time for the Passover. He needed to leave because of the shipping and the weather at that time. And so that seems to be what his purpose, his hurry on leaving is to avoid again. Most of the shipping, if not all, was shut down in a period in March because of the weather. The unpredictable nature of the weather, and so he heads back. But he tells them here something that is more than a slogan. It's almost become a slogan, a powerless slogan, if you will, in Christianity today. This, if God's will. Paul says, I'll come back if it's God's will. And I do it. I hear other people do it, and I don't want to throw stones necessarily, because again, the old saying, if you live in glass houses, and we all do it to some extent. But for Paul, when you look at his ministry, this statement, if it's God's will, was more than just some kind of motto or something he just tossed around. Doing God's will was his way of doing business. I mean, he just to find, to know, and to do God's will was Paul's ambition. We see him go on journeys. We see him not go to certain places. We see Paul make many decisions in his ministry based on what he perceived and understood to be the will of God. He even calls himself in First Corinthians and several First and Second Corinthians, a couple other places. He'll use the phrase. He identifies himself as an apostle of Jesus Christ by the will of God, and so. He searched for that. Acts 21. He makes a statement: "The will of the Lord be done." And so Paul was all about doing the will of God. Again, we know that at one point he really wanted to go to Rome, but God wouldn't allow him to go, and so he obeys, doesn't persist on. He's been in Ephesus now for he's been on about an 18-month journey here, and so it's time for him to leave and to return back to Antioch. And so he leaves Aquila and Priscilla to continue the ministry. And again, he just it was just how Paul operated. He was again saying such and such and such and such if it's God's will. We do that in a lot of times praying, and then we go on and do whatever we want to do. We go on and do it the way we would like to. And my my personal challenge, and I hope you will think about it and consider it as well, is to be much more cautious. We're not too far in the new year that I'm not a big resolution maker. In fact, I didn't make any for this year. If I did, I've already forgot them. But it's not too far along the way in the year in our life to resolve. I really want to seek and do the will of God. That's what I want to do with my life. And again, I haven't always, but let's try to be more like Paul in that area. Paul, he loved those people. Certainly he would have liked to have went back on his own. He would have looked forward to it. He would have looked forward to seeing the people and the growth in the church. But he says only if that's God's will. Let's take it a day at a time. Let me challenge you today to really look and search what's God's will for me. And I'll give you a question I use a lot of times. When's the last time you can say beyond a shadow of a doubt, I know I was in God's will. I was where God wanted me to be, doing what God wanted me to do. That's a real challenge for us. Paul took that challenge and lived by it. Let's you and I see if we can't be more like Paul. All right, have a good weekend. We'll see you here Monday morning.